Anybody can make things out of pallets. It's really pretty simple, and if you follow the procedures in this video, you can make a real nice little bench. Maybe you can make some of these benches for your community. Put them around at parks and at bus stops where you live. So first of all, where can you find pallets? The simplest answer to that is behind buildings. Warehouses, factories, a lot of times will have piles of pallets. Construction sites, loading docks, especially if there's a warehouse by railroad tracks, there's almost always bound to be some pallets there in big stacks. Now you should always ask first before you take them. Many businesses reuse their pallets internally, so they get shipped back to the manufacturer and they get used over and over. But a lot of businesses will just use the pallet one time, and then after that it becomes garbage to them. It's a waste product. It's in their way. They want to get rid of it, so they're really happy if you'll come and take them away. But a couple points of etiquette on this is, first of all, don't leave a mess. When you take the pallets, stack them back up. Be friends with the people there, and you can build a relationship with them. And you're doing them a favor, but you don't want to poison that relationship by leaving a big mess. You should always wear gloves, good heavy-duty work gloves. These pallets have a lot of splinters in them. You may also find things like rats living inside piles of pallets, so be careful. You will need a small pickup truck to haul these pallets around. I often just strap the pallets onto the roof of my car. I have an old car, and I don't care if the roof gets a little scratched up. Or you can make a roof rack out of pallets too. Put a little carpeting on it, and then just strap that onto the roof of your car using those ratcheting tie-down straps. Works really well. So there's a lot of different kinds of pallets. There are pallets that are made out of hardwood, which are very heavy and heavy-duty. And there are the softwood ones, which are what I'm going to use to make the benches out of. They're just a lot easier to work with. They're not nearly as heavy. As you can see in this video, the pallets come in a lot of different sizes, and they're in a lot of different conditions. Some pallets are just all a disaster, and they have a bunch of broken boards on them. They're not worth fooling with. You can always find a pallet in pretty good condition if you dig down just a little bit. There's so many things that you can make from pallets. I learned about this from going to a festival in Kentucky called the Whippoorwill Festival, where one of the workshops was about making things out of pallets. And so I'll show you some of the many things you can make out of pallets. As you can see from the table there, you can actually make some pretty nice pieces out of pallets if you get a real pretty pallet, sand it down, and some polyurethane on it. It makes a pretty nice little table for your cabin, and then the Adirondack chair is really easy to make, and I'll show you how to do that in another video. That is super comfortable chair. Alright, we're going to talk about all the tools that are needed to turn pallets into benches. They are listed in the description for the video, so I won't go through all of them, but I want to touch on a few highlights, starting on the left here with the safety equipment. Some nice cotton gloves. Earplugs are really nice because when you start cutting through the pallets, it makes a tremendous racket. Dust mask I would recommend. Safety goggles are absolute must. You have to have safety goggles. Okay, in the center of the pile is a T-square that I believe is used for installing drywall, and they're only about $10 or so at any home improvement store. Carpenter square to the left of that. Level triangle. It's a little angle measuring device, which I'm not sure where that came from. You could probably get one at Harbor Freight, but you'll need that to cut the angle on the back of the bench. For marking the wood, I use a Sharpie or a ballpoint pen. These pallets are so dirty and sometimes wet, and you just can't hardly get a good mark on the wood that you can see. So Sharpie has actually worked out the best, and it's accurate enough for pallet work. Carriage bolts. Those are 1/4 inch diameter carriage bolts, 3.5 inches long. They are about 20 cents each at any hardware store. You're going to need 8 of them to do a bench. If you are planning to build several benches, you might as well just go ahead and get the box of 100 on the carriage bolts, and you get a discount price. Then the nuts and the washers are about 5 cents each. So you're looking at somewhere under $5 for the total hardware for each bench. Saw blades. Today we're going to use a saw blade called a Diablo blade. This is one I've been experimenting with. And this is pretty important that you get the right kind of saw blade for your reciprocating saw, because you're going to be using a reciprocating saw a lot. And it's going to be cutting through nail-infested wood. And if you look on the package of these Diablo blades, which I got at Lowe's, I'm sure there's a million different kinds of these saw blades, but these are specifically for cutting nail-infested wood. You don't want a wood blade, you don't want a metal cutting blade, you want something in between. And these are about 8 to 12 teeth per inch, and that's important. If you get the wrong kind of saw blade, you're going to have all kinds of problems dealing with these pallets. And the saw blades are resting on the carcass of my Cobalt reciprocating battery-powered saw, which just died a couple days ago. And today we're going to try out this Sears Craftsman. It looks like an old reciprocating saw. It's a plug-in with the Diablo blades. Hacksaw. To the right of the hacksaw is a Wonder Bar. You have to have one of these. There's nothing else that works for the way I do it. These are great tools. They're 12 to 15 bucks. Claw hammer, a mallet, and the orange mallet is a 3-pound dead blow mallet that I got at Harbor Freight for 15 bucks or something like that. And that's an essential tool also. Plug-in drill, cordless drill would work fine for this project too. Extension cord. The blue item right below the extension cord is called a cat's paw, and it's for pulling nails, and that is sometimes a handy item. And then there's a little file below the cat's paw that is it's a combination file. It's a rasp and a finer teeth file. That's really handy for taking the splinters. And in the back we've got some quick grip clamps, or you can use the vice grip seat clamps. Either one of those works great. And you'll also need a good bottle of Ale 81 to get us through this project. All right. This is the back, and we need to put an angle on this back to make it more comfortable for people to sit in. Using the Protractor tool, we're going to measure a 15-degree angle on the back of the bench and cut that using the reciprocating saw. Here are my two legs. You can see their approximate angle. This one's about 14 inches long. The front leg is about, it's longer. And we're going to clamp this in place here so that we can drill a hole and bolt the leg to the top and the bottom. So we have to position it about like that. And we'll clamp it in place. We'll go ahead and drill our 1/4 inch hole through it and then bolt it up with a carriage bolt. Here's the front leg. I'm using carriage bolts on the legs because they're idiot-proof, they're indestructible, they're very easy to install, and I wanted to make these benches something that anybody could build, even if you don't have real good carpentry skills. The wood that's used in these pallets splits very easily, and you try and drive a nail that's big enough to hold the load of this leg to this. That nail's probably going to be so big that it's going to split the wood. So that's why I'm using carriage bolts, and they seem to be working very well. They hold very strong. Now for the last leg, we're going to put the bench on the ground on its 3 legs, and then position it so that all 4 legs are balanced. Then we'll clamp it in place, drill it, and bolt it in place. Lastly, we're going to take the boards that we knocked off the bench at the beginning and use them as trim. We'll put one board here and one board up here. All right, there's our finished product with the trim boards added on it there. You can see that some of the boards on this pallet were nailed on crooked, and so that gives it a little bit of character, makes it kind of interesting. Prime it, get a good quality exterior primer, prime the whole thing before you start adding your colors onto it.